So that's it. We're live. Thank you, Patrick, for jumping on here and doing this today.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm going to pull up the chat just so we can see the comments, you know, the deal, and we'll get into this. So the first thing I want to talk to you, there's a lot I want to talk to you about, but one of the things I feel like you could really help answer for me and then help answer for a lot of people was I had a tinter reach out to me through private message this week or last week, and he works for a shop. He's been working there for about 6 months, and he wanted to know if he was being paid fairly. Okay, so obviously the first thing I said, well, let's talk about your experience. Let's talk about the shop, like find out how long you've been tinting, what kind of output can you do, like, and so on. So being that you work for a shop, being that you really know your stuff, and you know, from your live streams that I've joined, I've kind of heard like different things you've commented about having, you know, like having a kind of a formal agreement with your employer and really like nailing down how you know, how your employment's going to go. So I kind of wanted your opinion on there, and I'll tell you exactly what he said. He said that he would, and, you know, I want to know your opinion on him and then your opinion in general. How can people make sure, you know, they're not being taken advantage of? How can they properly approach their boss if they feel like they want more money and so on, and go from there. So he had said he'd only been tinting for about 6 months. He was I think the solo tinter at the shop, and he was able to do a full car with windshield in about 2.5 hours. Now, he was only getting paid 10% of the gross sales that come from window tinting. And that was only working out to like a $10 to $12 an hour, pay once you broke it down. They're not a high volume shop. They're not bringing in a ton of money. So he kind of felt like, hey, I'm only making $300-400 a week. I'm working my butt off. I'm tinting windows. And he didn't know, you know, what's my next move? How do I bring this up to my boss? You know, my boss is really friendly. He said, you know, he's like real chummy, but he felt like maybe his boss didn't have his best interests in mind. What do you think?
Okay, so my thoughts on that initially is
What's my next move?
I'm always a commission-based type of, not commission-based, excuse me. I am a set salary or set day rate or set weekly rate kind of guy. And the reason why is it's easier for me to set up for me to set up my financial outlook if I know that I'm getting paid the same exact every single week. You know, with the problem with commission is that you have to be financially savvy. You have to put your nuts away for the winter. You know, you're going to get, springtime comes in, you're going to get okay money. Summertime comes in, you're going to make a lot of good money. But the problem is that tinters don't plan for the future. You have to assume that 2 or 3 months out of the winter, you want to assume worst case scenario, it's going to be completely dead. So the big money you're making during the summertime is going to offset the little money you make during the wintertime. So when you are commissioned, you have to be smart with your money. You can't just, but that's the problem that some tinters do, is that they get all this money during the summertime and they blow it all. Come wintertime, they have to quit window tinting and then go scrub dishes or do something else. Not that they want to, because they have to. So in the particular position where that situation that you're telling me with the gentleman getting paid 10%, off the top, my initial reaction is that he's getting paid way underpaid. Now the problem is that I don't know what kind of agreement they settled on, what the conditions were. If the terms and conditions were settled and agreed upon, it's very difficult at that point to turn around and be like, I want more money. You know, so the way I would structure it is that if he can really churn out that kind of work and good quality work, you know, it's not about just time, it's about quality. I'd rather have a guy doing it in 3.5 hours clean than an hour and a half, and it's not, because it's going to turn around and come back and it's a waste of time and money. Sure. If that's the case, and if he is truly like that and the guy's not going to budge on paying him more, then he has, right now it's a golden opportunity, because we're about to go into the time where everyone's getting their money back for taxes and springtime. That's the time to jump and move and make your deals, because now he can go to any shop and basically and request 30%, and you can, if he can do it cleanly and do it in the time frame that he claims, then yeah, he can definitely make a lot more money. Definitely a lot more money. The way I structure it, and I'll do it very briefly, is that this is how I structure it. I always request 33%, no more, no less. A third to the tinter for doing the work, a third to the business because you got to feed the monster. There's overhead, there's film, there's electricity, there's a lot of stuff going on, and then a third to the business owner because they took the risk of opening the business. So a third, a third, a third. Now, if they're the only tinter and the owner doesn't tint, then that, I might cut into his, but most of the time owners have their own shops and they're doing their own thing as well, and it's supplemental income, it's additional income. Also is that I structure my deals so that I start right before springtime. Right after tax time is the time to strike hot, and I structure a set amount. So for example, let's just say I can do, and I'll do this real quickly just so like someone that's following along, let's assume that I can, the average ticket is $200, and I want to make sure I can do this. I kind of basically, here's the thing. I figure out what the average ticket is, and then I basically figure out how much I can make for him in a year, and I do it in a way where if I was booked 75% of my time, how much money could I make, could I gross for the business? And then at that point, I'll cut that into a third, and then that's what I'll request that. So it's usually at $200 a ticket, and I can tint 5 to 6 cars in a day. 75% of that, it's roughly between 50 and 60,000 a year, something like that. Maybe a little more, a little bit less. But the reason why I structure it in the spring is because that's the busy time, right? So they're going to get over on the tinter a little bit in the spring and summertime. Now during the fall time, the tinter is going to get over on the shop a little bit, right? Because they're not as busy, but they're still paying you. So you're probably getting a little bit less per hour during the spring and summer, but it's consistent, and that's the key. So since you've already made the shop their money in the front end, by the time you get to the back end during the winter time, they're basically committed to you already because you've already given them money. If it's reversed and you start in the winter time, there's no incentive to keep you. You know what I mean? Right. So I hope sense. I hope that was a good answer there.
And in that third, because the thirds are something I think, I've heard before and stuff that I've implemented. So I love the thirds, and I'm curious what everybody else does, what's working for them, what's not, and so on. But with that third, does that involve you dealing with the customer, selling them, upselling them, and so on? Or is it, are you simply installing?
I would be, here's the thing. You typically, with a set salary, I personally go less than what I normally would make in a full year, just to kind of sweeten the pot, I guess, and sweeten the deal. You want to, how's the word I want to say? You obviously want to maximize your outcome for the least amount of effort, right? You don't want to be like working so dog tired and then getting the same money. So initially, you want to find a shop that you're just coming up and you're picking up the cars and you're just tinting windows, because my time is better spent tinting windows. I make more money per hour, per minute tinting windows than talking to customers or talking about options, something like that. Is it something that I can do? Absolutely. Is it something that it's in the best interest of me or the business? No, because you can have, someone that works the front desk, that answers phones, answers questions. They can take care of that. That's something that's great for them, because it's a difference between paying someone $10 an hour and paying someone $35 an hour. I want the guy working $35 an hour making me as much money as possible.
And that makes sense. And they're two different skills, installing window film and selling window film. Sometimes people possess both skills, but at the end of the day, you could be good at one and not at the other in either scenario, right?
100% agree. I absolutely agree. If you're working for a shop, it's advantageous for you to learn how to sell, but being a salesman is a craft on its own. From leading questions to open-ended questions. Now, what's the difference between an open-ended and a closed-ended question? Leading and building rapport. All these things are sales tactics, and it's not something that comes naturally. You have to learn those types of things. So if you only know how to tint windows, and you think it's a good idea for, let's say, if you have an installer that only tints windows, it's probably not the best idea to send him up if he can't speak intelligently, if he can't present himself accordingly, because he's a representation now of your business. So if he can't do that, then come pick up the keys. Here's the work order. Go do what you do best. Go rock out this tent. But unfortunately, there's if you want, you can choose that right person if that person is best for that position, I guess I could say. Like you said, it's a special person that can do both, but not everyone can do both.
And more often than not, I think it's the business owner that finds themselves, hey, I open the business, I tint windows, now I have to deal with the customers. And I think sometimes maybe, they get frustrated and they're like, I'd rather just be tinting windows, this annoying customer. And like you said, it is a waste of the time. It completely makes sense, because even if you're the owner of the company, you shouldn't think that you should do everything. You might be a great tinter, might not be a good salesperson, or maybe you're a great salesperson and you hire a tinter. It can go either way, right?
Absolutely. I work for Mike Feldman. Mike Feldman is the Yoda of window tint. I mean, Mike Feldman can tell you everything from how it's built to how it's produced to who it's made by. I mean, everything. This is no joke. Like, I've never stumped him on a question about window tint, and Mike doesn't install film. But yet he runs a business that turns 2.3 million a year at that has 10 employees. They're top 10 on the East Coast, I believe. They won the dealer conference of the year for the Southeast Conference. But he has a good team. He's built a good team, and he knows what he's doing. He was with 3M for 30 something years or something like that, and then started this. So, but he's a sales guy. He's strong at sales, but he builds his team so that he has the whole. His wife does the finances. His son is a salesman. He brought on more salesmen. He brought in skilled tinters. So you got to build your team to build for success.
So with that said, what do you, because first of all, I know Mike, and I know that, his business from the outside, and everything you said, I agree with. He is a monster in the industry. He's, he's unstumpable. He's all the experience you said, he's there. And I'm curious, something that I've heard from other tinters is, sometimes they could be be part of a successful company, as you are with Mike. And they might get the feeling of, why should I help build somebody else's business for them? And it's this bitter feeling. And, I definitely don't think, maybe if you're being taken advantage of, then that's the feeling you get. Obviously, that's not a feeling you have and the rest of your team, because if you have a team 10 strong and he's a successful, obviously they like being part of the team. Is there anything that stands out to you that he's doing correctly that keep somebody like you that's super capable? You obviously know marketing, you know how to tint, you know how to teach tint, you know how to do all these things. And he's able to keep somebody like you, a superstar in the tint community, as part of his team, and you didn't just turn into his competition. Is there something that he's done right that stands out to you that really is, helped make that happen?
I'll tell you what, Mike is a hard ass, right? And he can, if you get in his way, it's not a position or a place he wants to be in, right? But at the same time, that's his competitive side. He's in competition. That's all it is. It's blood, sweat, and tears, and he's get out of my way or I'll crush you. And that's the championship mentality. You know what I mean? When you're in a competitive market like that and you have that competition attitude, you're nice. When you and me are talking, and when me and you go walk by at the tint off, it's nice. But if you and me are bidding on the same bid for the same gig, I'm gonna bite your damn head off. I'm gonna get you out of my damn way because I'm there to make the money. You know what I'm saying? So Mike is vicious in that aspect, but he is. It's about taking care of people. There's too many people that are selfish. It's looking out for themselves, and unfortunately it's kind of a way that a lot of people think. A lot of people think, look out for themselves, look out for me, and I'm gonna get me, and then I'll take care of other people. But you have to think better than that. And the Feldmans are nothing but nice, and they take care of their employees. Financially they take care of them. They pay them what they're worth, and they don't. There are times when times are tough. You know what I mean? No, there are dead times. There's up downs and slow times. And most shops, when it gets dead, they start laying off people. That's a fact. It's by winter time, most people. I'm lucky to have never been to a shop that would lay me off during the winter time. It hasn't happened, thank God, right? But I mean, there are shops out there that when it gets slow, they start cutting people, and when that happens, everyone just kind of bands together and works together, and they take care of each other. They respect each other. They don't treat me like I'm just a window tinter. They'll ask me questions. They'll ask me to take care of things. They'll ask me to do stuff that's relevant to the business. It makes you feel like you're more than just you're a part of something bigger and a whole, not just a zombie working the line. So, did I answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. And something that it kind of brings up, and I wanted this to be a future topic, really, but you kind of touched on it just now, was like, it really is about how you treat your team, because that, if somebody makes you feel like you're an idiot or like your opinion doesn't matter, that resentment really then affects how you work. And then that kind of fulfills their prophecy of you being an idiot, because you're acting like an idiot because they treat you like an idiot, and they treat you like an idiot because now you're acting like an idiot. So
right.
One of the things I see, right, exactly. And I'm sure nobody can agree who started the process first, but, but that happens. And one of the things that I want to touch on in the future is just, I've seen comments where people say, my wife, I'd love to have my wife work with me, but she doesn't want to because she's afraid I'll treat her like the rest of the staff, or something like that, like how hard I am on the staff. And I just feel like that should be the wake-up call, that if your own wife is scared of working for you, what does that mean for your employees? You know what I mean?
Right, absolutely. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being aggressive and getting in there. During the summertime when we're busy, we're booked 3 weeks in advance, and we got 10 to 12 cars, and there's no time to mess up a back window, and if you do, you better burn it and turn it quickly, and people can get on each other for that, to kind of put a fire under your ass, because there's some people that need sweet talking and motivation in that way. Like, listen, I understand it's hard, I know it's hot, you are doing a great job, I appreciate what you're doing, we just got to push a little bit further and we can do it. There are some people like that. Some people some people like to get a fire in their ass. Let's go, baby, come on, just really get in their face and yell because they feel it, and that gets them pumped and jacked. So you really have to be able to feel and read the person that you're working with, and determine how they need to be taken care of, and that's part of the caring aspect, and not just using them as a machine.
Got it. And that's obviously a great shop you've worked at. How long have you been there?
I started March 20th, 2017, and I'll be there. This will be my 4th year coming up this March. So, starting year number 4.
How did you connect with them? Did you respond to an ad? Did you walk in?
That's a crazy story. So I lived in I don't want to be too wordy, right? So I'll take a long story and make it short. I originally lived in Kentucky. This is before I ever started window tinting. I was in the banking industry. I was at the call center, and I hated my life. I worked 4 10s, which is 4 10-hour days. It might as well have been prison. Like, it was brutal. I was making like $24K a year, was not happy. Plus, I'm a California boy, so every winter was like the worst thing in life, right? So I got tired of it. I liquidated all my assets. I moved to Alabama. I bought $30,000 worth of landscaping equipment before I ever pushed a single lawnmower or I never cut a blade of grass in my life. And I'm like, all right, this is going to do it. We're going to do it. And I brought my in-laws with us, and it was like, we were like, we were the Griswolds. We were a nightmare. It was like 14 of us that all just came down, and we lived under one big house. It was a nightmare. We should have killed each other. It was bad. Long story short, that game plan didn't really work out. Didn't pan out. The landscaping business fizzled out and died after a year. Everyone's getting jobs, and they're like, go get a job. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. No. Let me figure it out. Let me figure out what I can do. So I was researching, and I found this little kid with scraggly hair named Matt on YouTube, and he was doing window tinting. And then I found this other guy named Ralph, and he was showing people how to tint windows. And I'm like, okay, what do we got here? This is something, okay. And then I started crunching the numbers, and I'm like, okay. And I told the old lady, I said, I'm gonna do window tinting. And she's like, you're gonna what? I'm like, I'm gonna do window tinting. She's like, can you do it? I'm like, I have no idea. I have no idea. But this, I mean, at this time, I'm $50,000 in the hole. Like I'm so much in debt that my mother won't give me money for a stick of gum. And I might have had $500 in the bank, and I spent half of it on window tinting tools and practice film. So
Wow.
I tinted. I tinted my car and all the. We had 4 different cars at the house, and I tinted all those cars nonstop until I finished the roll. I did. I think I tinted a dozen times, and then at that point, I went down to apply for a job at a window tinting shop. And the first shop I worked at, Mr. Yu, he was a very nice guy. He was a single 2-car garage and a one-man show, and he knew that I had a little bit of the skills, but I needed to work and improve. And I did the best that I can. I kept up. I took out trash bags. We were both would start shrinking a window, and I mean, he's been doing this for 10 years, 12 years, so he would shrink a window in 2.5 minutes, and I might have half of 1/4 done, but then slowly I would have half it done, and slowly I ended up doing both. And then it just I kind of worked and kept working at it, and I ended up being with him for a year. And long story short, Alabama just wasn't the place for us. I have 2 young boys, a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. They were younger at the time, and there was just nothing to do in Montgomery, Alabama. It's a very poor state, and there really was not much to do. So we looked into Tampa, Florida, and we decided to make the move again. So we decided we were going to move. And 2 weeks before, I took a weekend trip down here. I left on a Friday and came down and stayed in a hotel in Oldsmar, which is just outside of Tampa. And I called up. I had a list of about 30 different shops just in the Clearwater area, and I happened to get a number for a company called Advanced Film Solutions out in Lutz. Now, someone told me, don't go to them. They're an hour away. It's ridiculous. You're not going to want to go. I needed a certain amount of dollars, a certain income, because I had a family to support and things of that nature. I was actually going to burn and turn them. I did my first interview, and the boss, Michelle, she called me after the first interview, and I was just going to blow her off. I wasn't even going to call. I was going to no-show. I was going to burn through the rest of these other tint shops. And she called me, and she says, "Hey, my window tinter's a no-show. I know you were interested. Did you still want to come out and interview with us?" I said, like, oh, okay, I'll go. Someone told me it was an hour. I'm not trying to, I'm not 100% sure. She's like, it's 45 minutes. It's 40 minutes if you're Leadfoot. She says, just come out, just see how it feels, and you're good to go. So, and I'm like, okay, well, she called me. I'm already pot committed now. I mean, I was just going to ghost her, but now I feel obligated. So let's go. So I drive out there and I do a windshield for her, and she loves the work. And it was a good timing and good position. The tinter they had was very good at what he did, but he just wasn't the right fit. But they couldn't find a replacement for him. So, and it was one of the days that he just went MIA, didn't even show up. So after I did that windshield, she's like, listen, I got 2 more cars in the books. My guy was a no-show. And is there anything that you can do? Would you mind staying for the rest of it? So I ended up tinting the rest of the day for this guy to pick up for this guy. I don't know, pay me $300 or something like that. So I don't know who goes to an interview and makes $300, but that was a good start. And we decided, we settled on agreements and terms, and I started 2 weeks later. So
wow, that's so cool. That's so ambitious. Actually, that's one of the comments. One of I think the scraggly haired kid, I think that's how you described Matt, that you saw on YouTube. Is that what you said? Or did I?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the scraggly, this little kid. I think he had a lip ring at the time too.
Yep. And his logos is and was a mustache. It always stood out to me, right?
Right. Absolutely.
He said that ambition to go after something you feel is a smart move is really incredible. Oh, hold on 1 second.
Take your time. And for those of you guys that don't know, Matt is actually one of my really good friends. So it's not like me like jabbing at Matt. We're good friends. So it's just all jokes.
Yeah, and like you said, Matt, Ralph, 2 of the OGs on YouTube, right?
Absolutely, and, absolutely. 100%.
So, with that said, actually, how did you get started on YouTube then? What sparked that?
Here's the thing. When I started, it wasn't very easy. Like I said, when I say that, like I learned everything off of YouTube, that's no joke. I didn't have $1,500 to go to a 3-day course, and I learned what I learned, and I got into a tint shop because of what I learned online. People wouldn't teach me. Local tint shops didn't want to train me because they're afraid I'd turn into their competition. And again, I didn't have the money for a training course. So I knew at the time Matt had stopped doing videos and this is when he left his father's shop and he went to work for Tint Squad, which Rick McIntyre ran, and he was ghosted. It was so far that the internet thought he was dead. If you read through the posts, there's a rumor that he died in a car accident. Like his old, oh yeah.
Like, who decided to throw that out there? Everybody's like, "Where's this guy?" I remember that period too. I was actually like following his videos, and I was like, "Where did this guy go?" And this was years ago. So,
just one day, just disappeared. And and I think he was doing. Pre-order kits and had a website and everything. And because I think the website went down, people were like, he's dead for sure. He was making money on kits. He's dead. Who else just stopped the kits, right? And it was that, and then it was just Ralph, right? And I'm like, listen, I don't know anything. I just want to make some video. I want to do what they did to me. I want to be able to make some videos to try to guide and help some people try to get into this industry and do this industry, because now I'm making my first shop I worked at and negotiated $60,000 a year. I was in a failing landscaping business the year before, and the year before that I was making $24,000 at a call center, right? So I mean, this industry has given me so much that I wanted to give back, and if I can help someone do something better with their lives, it's very easy for people to go to the dark side, drugs, depression. If you allow it, the world can kick you in the balls and bring you down hard, right? So if you can help someone uplift themselves, maybe they're not school smart, maybe they're not maybe they're street smart, but they never did well in school. That was me. I was horrible at school. Like, I'd read a book and be asleep in 15 minutes. I can't go through a class, but I'm very street smart. If I can teach someone how to do this and be able to improve their life, that's what I want to do.
And you and Matt teamed up. I don't mean to cut you off, but you and Matt teamed up for Certified Tinter, right? That's
correct. So the idea with Certified Tinter is that we were looking to bring offer more specific videos and basically put it behind a paywall, and so basically the paywall would filter out the riffraff and from the people who actually want to learn, and it was more of a concentrated area where people could do this and not. Because in the tint, especially within the tint groups on Facebook, like if you're a real greenhorn, you ask a really novice question, you'll get chewed up in some of these groups. You want to have a safe environment, a safe area, and I think that was the idea. It didn't really pan out for us. You sometimes you set stuff up and it doesn't really work out. And we put this together, but in the long run, we realized, number one, it almost kills our channels. Right, because you can't continue to show free content if you're trying to put a paywall on this side. Like, you know what I mean?
One or the other, kind of.
Exactly. Yeah. So we decided that we're working together on possibly doing collaborations with live training. I think that's something that, like, if people want to do it, they can do it. And I think that's the route we're gonna go, because we don't want to stop what we're doing. The free content or the complimentary content helps us do what we do. It helps us reach people. It helps us help people and guide people. And there's more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one way to monetize a business plan, and we're figuring out those ways.
Got it. So when you say live training, do you mean like Facebook Live, YouTube Live, or do you mean live in person, or both?
Live in person was the idea. Yeah, the idea was, I don't know if it'll be fine. It'll be fine. So the idea is that we can help people that have networks already. Let's say let's say Tint Wiz wanted to hold a training course. So, and you can tell all the people within your circle, hey, we're going to run a training course. Maybe you know how to tint, but maybe you're trying to train someone else, or maybe you know someone that wants to be trained. We're going to bring in these two guys named Matt and Patrick. You guys can check them out online. We're going to go ahead and put this class together, and let's go ahead and this is the date, this is the time, this is the place. If you guys want to join here. So it's kind of helping clients that already have a network of people to help offer them services, offer them basically training.
So if you're, today, January, whatever it is, 21st or so, you don't know how to tint, you know you want to tint. With everything that exists currently today, what would be your path to learning how to tint? Like,
it depends.
Where would you be?
It depends. If I was brand new and I'm like, listen, how do I get into this industry? How do I do it? It really depends if, number one, what your financial situation is. Okay. A training course will not make you the world's best tinter. A training course, you're not going to get out of there and start tinting windows and you're going to be a god. It's not going to happen. But a training course is good because it's going to give you a solid foundation on which to work and improve your skills on. So I would suggest to go get a training course or sign up for a training course. The average training course is roughly about $500 a day. So my best suggestion is see if there's a training course around your area, because if you have to travel, now you're including hotel, flights, possibly missed time from work and missed potential income from work, things of this nature. Just because you're going to have people that know what they're doing. Like if I crease something at a shop at a training and I'm like, oh, why did I do that? Well, I know the instructor will be like, did you see what you did? Okay, this is why that happened. Don't do that again, or do this instead. And so instead of learning by trial and error and mistakes, which just takes longer, you can cut that out and be like, this guy told me this and this is why. Or maybe there's another trick that I can show and use. So I would suggest that, and then just getting in and tinting as many cars as you can. If you can't afford a training course, then there's a lot of content online. Before YouTube. It was on YouTube mainly, but there's these Facebook groups out here, and there are good guys out here that are looking to legitimately help people. Now, granted, I might get the same question 100,000 times, like what film is the best film to use and where to buy tools. Like I've answered that question a million times, right? So I guide people to where they can find the answer to that, because sometimes I don't want to answer it for the 1.5 million time. But the content is out there that they can find this information. But I would suggest it's research. Learning as much as you can and understanding why do you shrink film in a particular way, in a particular direction? Why is that? How to cut? What's the difference between stainless steel and carbon? Why is that? Angles on blades. You need to learn all that information. You don't just you do the, why do you do that? You have to learn that. And then after that, it's repetition. Tint all your friends' cars, or get a job at a tint shop and let them know, like, hey, I'm learning. I'm a 3-hour car guy. I'm a 4-hour car guy. Maybe you do that just on your weekends until you can sharpen up your skills and whatnot. Maybe you can't live off of the commission off of 1 car a day, which probably most people can't. But you have to make time to improve on the craft, and then it'll come back in spades for sure. I can guarantee you.
That makes sense. So your YouTube channel, or two things to mention. You mentioned Facebook forums, you mentioned YouTube. Your Facebook group is Window Tinting Business, and your YouTube channel, you just recently changed the name. You can still find it by searching Window Tinting Business, but now it's actually your name, correct?
That is correct. The Facebook group was I don't know if it's spin-off, but it goes hand in hand. I didn't realize that tint groups were a thing. I had no clue. But I wanted a place that the community from YouTube can go and talk amongst each other. And that platform isn't available on YouTube. So I set up the Window Tinting Business, the Facebook group, so that people can go there. They have a way to still contact me and reach me and ask me questions directly, but also be able to work together as a group. Like, oh, Patrick's not here, but I know that answer, and you're stronger as a group. So that's why I did that. And I switched over to my name. It's Patrick Latman. Right now, I'm Boyer, but I'm in the process of changing my last name, and I switched that because I'm looking to go outside of window tinting, but still stay within the automotive aftermarket industry, because I think that that could still help window tinters. Because once you're a window tinter, you can add detailing, you can add paint correction, you can add PPF. There's other markets that's still within the same niche, just not a subcategory. So that's what the change was for.
Got it. That makes sense. And I want to talk about DSP, dry shrink prep.
Okay. All right.
So
yeah, absolutely.
Tell me, for those who don't know what the product is, tell us a little more about it, and how you came up with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so if you guys don't know, dry shrink prep, or DSP, is we're marketing it as the healthy alternative to dryer sheets. I am the creator, the owner, the operator. I'm everything. It's a one-man show, right? So I'm good friends with Robert Oman, who is the creator and the creator of Soak Shield, right? So and then I know a number of different guys. Matt, he just released Glass Aid. I know Jay from Tri-Edge. There's a lot of, I know guys that invent stuff for the industry, and so I know this guy named Eric who created a CRM suite for the industry. It's just birds of a feather, I guess, right? So I wanted to be able to serve the industry in a positive way. And I use dry shrink prep for years, and I'm with dry shrinking is the more dominant way to shrink. No one wet shrinks anymore. Wet shrinking is a very aggressive. It puts a lot of pressure on the window film. It's very easy to crease. It's not a good way to learn. You have to dry shrink. It is what it is. But I found a niche that the problem was that the dryer sheets are incredibly toxic, and I didn't realize how toxic until I did some research. Neurological problems, breathing problems, cancer relation. The list goes on, and it's not a good thing. And the problem is, if you took one dryer sheet and threw it in your dryer with 50 pieces of laundry, or 30, or I don't do my laundry, my wife does, so I don't know how much laundry goes in the dryer, but well, however much you put in there, right? There's one sheet for X amount of clothes, right? So that's not that bad. But when me as a tinter, if I take one sheet and I'm wetting it down and I'm using it, and I do that for one piece of glass and I throw it away, and then I dry shrink it, right? And then I do that again for every car that I do 4, 5, 6 times a day. When I'm stopping, I'm eating lunch, I can smell it aggressively on my fingers. I know I eat with my hands if I'm eating tacos or something. I should be 900 pounds. I eat like you wouldn't believe. So I put my fingers in my mouth and I'm ingesting it. I'm like, there's got to be a better way. So I started formulating dry shrink prep and trying to figure out how to synthesize this product. And I maybe people don't know that, but this product is not a product that I purchase third party. I get it, I chop it down or bring it down to a particular way and then redistribute it. Like, that's not it. We are using 100% raw materials that we make, and we produce this product and synthesize this product from scratch. So it was a lot of research just to produce the product and finish it and have it ready for use. It takes 6 weeks just for that. That doesn't include the testing. Is what does the color look like? Is the smell too potent? Does it work? I threw it in the oven. Will it melt in extreme heat? No, it won't melt in extreme heat. That was with the solids. We played around with gels. I played around with liquids, spray bottles, applicators. Do I synthesize something that's solid and use that as a whole? Do I put it in an applicator? There's a million. It took months and months and months. And sorry, no. So after months of deciding, I think what was best, I wanted to be a different. The color schemes is a psychological thing. The color schemes that we use for dry shrink prep is in relation to impulse buying. So okay. if you buy it, it's because those colors are designed to make you want to buy it.
Where can you buy it?
You can buy it at dryshrinkprep.com. and that's a Shopify store. We only offer dry shrink prep there, and there's a video section where you can look at some more information of how we put it on, how it cleans, how it shrinks, what's in it, some informational stuff, videos, and then you can purchase there. We most people buy the starter set, which is a 2-ounce packet plus an applicator. We also offer refills, which is a 2-ounce refill, an 8-ounce jar, and a 16-ounce jar, and then we also offer the applicators just themselves alone. So just 5 servings, 5 offers.
So the quick start, I guess, package, how much is it? How does that compare to, like, they're going to get what out of that compared to dryer sheets? Is it more cost effective, less cost effective?
So the starter set comes with a 2-ounce packet, and it will last you around 2 months. If you're soaking it down and it has to dry and you're doing 25 cars a day, it's probably not going to last you 2 months. If you're doing 1 car a day and you lightly missed it and you try to use it sparingly, it'll last you way longer than 2 months. So it really just depends on the type of use that you get. But the price point is on par with what people spend on a large box of dryer sheets. I think a large box of dryer sheets, it will last you half that time and cost you half the price. So the price point's the same. So we priced it that way because we want people to understand that, like, the you're using dryer sheets, you can use dry shrink prep, and it's going to be no money out of pocket. You're still spending the same money, but why don't you use it on a product that is designed to be more healthy for you?
That makes total sense. The reason I especially just love the product, it's not just, a different way to do something. It's a healthy way to do something. And, like, at the end of the day, there's zero more important than your health, like zero, right? And what you mentioned about dryer sheets being unhealthy, that's not like something that you can Google that and you'll find tons of information on it. And that's not something that is out there saying, like, if you use dryer sheets for window tinting, be careful, it's unhealthy. That's saying, like, hey, if you're exposed to it too much with your clothes and you're handling it at all, like on that, it can be unhealthy. So like you said, if you're using it all day, every day, nothing is worth that. Nothing. And especially if an option is going to be a similar cost, but even if it was 5 times the cost, 10 times the cost, like, if you're going to be in a career for 20 or 30 years, like, you do not want to find out that you might have cancer because of the dryer sheets. The passion that you invested for your whole life led to your death. Like, that's not okay.
That's a really deep right there. That's a great, and it's true. It's true.
It's a serious thought. Like, people that are dealing with ceramic pro or ceramic coatings every day, if you have a printer running in the background at your shop all the time, you're inhaling those fumes. But even then, it's not necessarily as direct as, like you said, skin contact on a dryer sheet, every single car, all day, every month, every year. That's how baby powder becomes toxic. It's not baby powder's toxic. It's baby powder every day across 20 years is toxic. Absolutely.
100% agree. And
that's awesome.
I had conversations with friends and about figuring out price points and what we could do for it. And we could very well charge triple the cost and make it, but we don't want to do that. We want to make it easy. Obviously there's overhead, there's business overhead. And of course, as a business, you also want to make a profit as well. But at the end of the day, you want to help and you want to make sure that this is accessible for most people, because it's like, what was that? The EpiPen? The EpiPen that went crazy, and now it's $600. Like, people are going to pay it because they need it for their kids. I mean, but why do that to someone? Why not produce it and charge $20 and everyone can have it and the world's better off for it?
Yep, I agree with you 100%. That is why Tint Wiz is $100 a month, because when we were developing it, when we were developing it for our own company years ago, I spent more developing that program than I paid any employee in the company, but it also provided me more than any employee. When we went to release it to the public, when we sold the tint company and went to release it to the public, of course I could have said, look how valuable this is, right? But what's the point? Why wouldn't we want to get it in everybody's hands? So I feel like that's what you're doing with DSP, and that's really, really why I love it. And one of the things I recommend to anybody, like, stop the dryer sheets, use something healthy, and get that off your mind, right? I mean,
Yeah, the response has been unbelievable. I don't run advertising. I don't run advertising yet. We're still in the running. I had distributors and things happened where that kind of fell through. So now I just offer direct. The response has been really, really great. I just sent a package to Spain. I've sent packages to Germany. I mean, it literally is going all over the world. It's amazing. I'm really optimistic for this because you need seed money to be able to do certain things, right? Like I do everything that I can and what I can from what I can do when what I can provide for financially myself. But if I had means to more capital and other things, it can open up different projects that I can do that could be beneficial. I've thought about running training courses, not live because that wouldn't be very cost effective, but running live training courses online for absolutely free. Anyone that wants to join, I'm going to do it every Sunday for 5 weeks. Week 1 we're doing this, week 2 we're doing this, week 3 we're doing this, and it's just like I said, I'm just looking to improve the industry as best as I can.
That's beautiful. Do you make money on your YouTube channel?
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
So it does provide. So like, I imagine when you started the YouTube channel, was money on the forefront, or you mentioned when I asked you, giving back to the community, and it turned into money. I feel like it's kind of the same thing with DSP. It was like, hey, let's find a healthy solution and give back to the community, not, charge everybody an arm and a leg for it. And it works out. I think that's kind of like a great example of like, when you go into things with the right intention, they work out, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the idea was as long as you're looking at it in a positive way. If my main motivation was how to make money, then I would just open up a tint shop and I make a lot more money. I didn't monetize my channel for 6 months. After 6 months, I monetized it. So just to break it down, and I'll be very frank and honest with you guys. Google AdWords pays me, right? So Google runs advertising on YouTube, and then YouTube runs ads, pre-roll ads or roll ads on my videos, and then I get a portion of the profits from the advertising sales, right? So Google AdWords is who pays me, and you have to have $100 minimum before they break off a check to you. So when I first started monetizing my channel, it took me 3 months before I got a check. Was barely over $100, and then another 3 months, and I barely got another 100. And keep in mind, I'm averaging a 250,000 watch time minutes a month.
That's huge. That's huge for the first year of making videos.
Yeah, right. I mean, but it's not. I mean, you like
it's
people
not huge
think
money, but like that's a lot of traffic.
Right. Exactly. Yes. It's huge traffic, not a lot of money. Like I think people think that like I make an arm and a leg. Even after I've been doing YouTube for about 3 years now. First year was focusing on doing the how-tos, and then I started developing into doing, because there's a lot more that goes about to video. I mean, audio. What kind of audio? What's a soundboard? What is an audio interface? Cameras. There's a lighting. There's different lighting. How do you light it? How do you what's the depth? I mean, there's so much different things that goes into it. And long story short, I make right now, off of what I currently do, I might make a couple $100 a month, maybe. So from ad revenue. And so it's not a lot of money. It's not a huge amount of money. I have a lot more money invested in the equipment just in the studio than what I get paid. But there are opportunities. There's ways to make more than one revenue stream. There's sponsorship opportunities. There's merchandise opportunities. There's opportunities where I can make a product and sell it, like DSP. So I mean, the name of the game in regards to being a YouTuber, because the Peter McKinnons and the Casey Neistats of the world are far and few between. There's 70 million creators on YouTube.
Those
70
are the
million.
Michael Jordans of YouTube.
Oh yeah, they're the top 7, top 10 out of 70 million. So will this eventually turn into a business? I mean, it has kind of already. I've learned how to tint windows. Eventually, one idea that I'm planning on doing is I am going to be creating a mobile tint business from scratch, and I'm going to be documenting my process through this, and it's going to be a video series on that. I'll talk it with my live streams. We'll discuss names, paths I'm going to use. What are we doing an LLC? This is why we do an LLC, and then we're going to go into real world application. Okay, now I have the business. I have myself covered. Well, let's go advertise. Can we get this started? How many cars can I get in one day? Let's start this off. Let me try to fill one day. Then let me try to fill 2 days, and then 3 days. And then that's how you transition from this being a side job to being a profession. And I believe that this can be done, and I can document it in a way that I can show people that this is a possibility and not just a pipe dream. So I mean, really cool. There's a lot of exciting and fun stuff that I'm looking to do into the future, and just continue to create more content, quality content, and just be a positive influence.
I love it, man. Anytime opportunities can come up to allow a tinter to make money in any way that doesn't include just tinting a car, I think's like extra beautiful and exciting and so on, So I think, and I think that's especially why I appreciate your positivity in general, your willingness to help. You make these videos, you run the forum, like you said, this isn't how you pay your rent. This isn't a moneymaker. It's, but you do it. And I just think that as more and more people, you lead the way with that sort of attitude, and other people, Matt, Ralph, everybody leads the way with that. It opens opportunity for everybody else as well. And, that's why I think we should all be supporting each other with these new ventures. It might not make sense what somebody's doing right now to you, but there's no reason to cut it down or, talk shit. It's more about, hey, let's see where it goes. And, so.
Absolutely.
Really,
I think
really,
it's important that like, you've ever noticed like a lot of people say I'm a relatively nice guy, I'm happy and whatnot, like this is genuinely me, right? So it's like, if I see a product or I know of a product, I know a number of products in the industry that I don't either agree with or don't particularly like, but I don't speak it out loud and in public. I wouldn't do that to someone else, because I don't want someone else doing that to me. If I don't like a product, I'll never talk bad about a product. You'll just never hear me talk about it. So if you don't hear me talk about it, you can put 2 and 2 together. But like, it's not advantageous for me as an individual and as us as an industry to grow. And that really is the case. It's in some situations, shop owners are making $250,000 a year. Window tinters that work for people are making $75,000 a year. That's working for someone. That's twice the national average. This is like, but the common people, like consumers, I feel like some shops are like used car salesmen with the guy with the slick over comb over with the air thing, like sale now. Like that's I feel like the average consumer thinks of that like that, and not as a legit profession. And look at the numbers and prices in film. Everything in the country has gone up over the last 20 to 30 years, and cost of window film has very, very rarely risen up. Very low, very low. So I think that the industry has massive potential, and it could get only better.
Huge opportunity. And I always try to think, like, if we were on an island together in the window tint community, would we band together to survive and work together as a community, or would we be like, hey, you used to carry that film, you suck, go to that side of the island, you're not eating today, and you're not going to fight over it? Why is it any different not being on an island? Like, we're still a community, we can help each other.
There's the jokers of the world. There are people that just want to see the world burn, or feel that because they didn't get their shot, or that it didn't pan out for them, that they want to leach the poison out to everyone else and be like, no, it's not going to work out, don't do that. And, it's like yeah. No, don't. It is is the world sunshine and rainbows? No, not even close. And that's the reality. But you surround yourself with the people that you want to become or be. You know, there's a reason why I keep myself around the Robert Omans and the Mike Powells and the Erics and the Jays and the people that are the guys that are on Facebook after they crapped out at the Tint Off and they didn't even make it to finals, and they're like, this is garbage, and blah blah blah, I'm never coming here again, this is bullshit. And you're like you don't go there for the money, you don't go there banking on the 10 G's, you go there for, okay, first of all, if you're going there for the 10 G's, I'm gonna explain to you how to make $10,000 right now from the Tint Off, losing Tint Off. Make friends with 5 different tinters across the country. Let them know that you can do good work. If you can lay flat glass, network with some people. Big jobs come all the time, and guess who they can call? The people. Hey, I met this guy named Patrick. He was at the Tint Off. I know he can tint. I got a big job. I need help. Let me fly him down. Let's do some work. Boom, money. You know, it's. I don't know. It's just I'm not a negative kind of guy. I try to stay as positive as I can, and because if not, I think my life would spiral. So
well, there's more to be gained from working together. You know, the quote goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I think that really holds true. Like you said, networking with other tinters, or even just getting to know the manufacturers and so on. Hey, when there's a national project or there's an opportunity in your area, who are they going to call? It's you if they know you and you know they like you, or it's the next guy if you didn't bother. You'll be obviously at the Window Film Convention this year is in Orlando. That's only what, like an hour drive from you?
Yeah, about an hour and a half ish. So nothing too bad, but yeah, definitely closer than 2 years ago. 2 years ago, we were at West Palm Beach, and that was about 4 hours. So yeah, that's just right in my neighborhood. I'm really excited about that one. Really excited.
September 22nd through the 24th is the Tint Off, and I just want to keep reminding everybody, like, these are 3 days. Take off of work, plan ahead. It's worth the money, it's worth the flight, and go there with an open mind. And there's just so much to gain, whether you compete or not. Just go there and network.
It's probably the funnest time of the year for me. Like, yeah. I usually take a vacation. I try to take a vacation at least once a year. So that might be the best time because I get to unwind and disconnect from work and just spend time with my family and have a good time and kind of, just get away from everything, right? And unwind. But the Tint Off is, especially if you're into if you're watching this, you're clearly on the Facebook groups and you watch videos on YouTube and different things of that nature. You're involved in the industry, right? But they're just pictures and words. But when you meet these guys in person, it's like it's like a brotherhood. It really is. It's more like a family because half of them can't stand the other half, but everyone's there for the same reason. But at the end of the day, it's for good times. You get to meet all these people that you've seen online in real life. You can compete. If you can compete, go compete. Like, I would say, don't bank on winning, right? If you win, awesome, right? Get yourself a nice steak dinner and have a good old time. Spend 10 grand any which way you want, but don't bank on winning. But it is a rush. It's you can feel it. Like, I've done competitions before, not just window tinting, but other forms of competition all throughout my life. And you get this adrenaline rush. And it's the same thing. I mean, I've been doing this for years, and literally hundreds of thousands of watch time minutes per month, and thousands of people watching my stuff. And every time that thing starts, my hand's like this, and I'm like, I gotta take a deep breath, I gotta relax, I gotta focus. And it's just a good time. It really is. And you get to just cut loose for a few days because you work so hard all year. This is the time to have a good time and catch up with the people and see how people are doing and really yeah.
You competed last year in Indianapolis. Did you also compete in West Palm the year before?
Yes.
I've competed the first 2 times. Go ahead.
Yes, West Palm was my first time. West Palm was the first time. The year before West Palm was in I'm sorry. It was West Palm Beach, and then it went to San Antonio. And from San Antonio, it went to Indianapolis. So I competed my first time in West Palm Beach, and then I competed in San Antonio, and then my third time was in Indianapolis. Yeah. So this year will be my first time.
So what advice would you give to somebody to compete, that's planning on competing for the first time, other than don't expect to win?
Right. Okay.
Because that seems to be the case for everybody who competes for the first time. Because it's different. You might be the best tinter, but you're going on stage. You might be funny, but you're now on stage, and this is a whole different animal, right?
For anyone that's never entered the competition and is doing it for the first time, I can almost guarantee you their first thought is, I got this. I got this, right? Every tinter for the first time they compete, they're like, this is in the bag. Are you kidding me? This is what I do all day, every day. All day, yeah. Like every tinter thinks that. No. Okay, first and foremost, it's not going to happen. Very, very unlikely. There is a realm of I don't want to call it luck, but there is a variance of luck. Like I happened to be next to an AC unit that was blowing straight down, and you can see the curtains blowing right here. And maybe that blowing could blow a piece of dust into my thing. Maybe the guy that tinted the car before you cut the seals up or gouged the glass, and maybe they didn't. The proxies didn't see it, and they blamed you for it. Or like I did, I trained to do one window in a specific time frame, and then they added a window in the front quarter. So that by the time that I trained to do one window in a specific time didn't allot for an additional time to do a quarter, which is what threw me off last year. So what I would suggest is to set up everything the way it would be at the tint off. So have a table set to the side, have a curtain set to the side, a trash can, and your tools. And you get 20 minutes. That's it for one window. Last year was one window and a quarter, but most of the time it's just one window for 20 minutes. So you want to shoot. My first year, I was done with my window in 7 minutes. And I threw out my sign and I was done, right? I didn't get into the finals, but I was done. Like I was the first one. And I look around and everyone else is still working for the next 7 minutes. So the next 12 minutes, everyone else was working. Some were working until the last second. So the next year I was like, okay, I'm going to work a little bit slower. I'm going to work a little bit more diligent. And I left my giant rolling toolbox just right in front of the door. So what you want to do is when you start, most people with the first, when they get their film, they're going to get a 20-inch roll. And what most people do is they take the first 2 loops off and cut it off right away. Because during transport, it could have gotten dinged or dented. You don't want to use that film, right? And then what you'll do is you'll unroll, probably 3 feet and roll that up. And then roll another 3 feet and then cut it and roll it up. And that's prepped and ready for you. That'd be my first suggestion. And then just get everything timed out where you can finish that window in 15 minutes. And that's heating it extra a little bit, drying everything off. And then from there, take the last 5 minutes to clear off everything, double check, make sure that there's no trash that you've left, practice throwing the trash in the trash can, and giving yourself like 30 seconds. And you can go ahead and finish up in 30 seconds because the tiebreaker is the time frame. So if you get the same exact points as someone else, then they're going to choose the time frame as the tiebreaker. But that outcome is so far and few between. Also, you just clean up and make sure it's clean for them.
Do they, as a competitor, go over everything that they, like all the points that they use to judge your performance beforehand? Like I know putting like a do not roll down sticker on there, I think was part of it. And like that might be something that somebody doesn't necessarily realize. And there could be other little details. Do they tell you that beforehand, everything they're looking for, or?
When you register, that they're going to have a sheet that they're going to be scoring on, a score sheet. So it'll tell you everything on that score sheet, but then they'll go over it. Like you're not allowed to pull door panels. You can only top load. There's 2 stages. There's no bottom loading. Do not roll down stickers. And then every year there's it's supposed to take 30 minutes, but when you get 100 tinters in the same room with each other, or 200 tinters or whatever it is, it always lasts longer, and everyone asks the same questions every single year. What about this? What about that? Can you wedge it? Can you not use this? So they go over in pretty good detail what they will allow and what they won't allow. There is a mandatory, non-mandatory, and I don't know why they word it this way. There's a meeting that you have to go to. Don't be late to the meeting. Don't show up, because it's not mandatory, but it's mandatory. It's not mandatory, but if you miss it, it's 10 points. And then 10 points is the difference between being in the finals and not being. Being in the finals and not being in the finals was a 4 or 5 point difference last year. So it's very competitive. 2 years ago, No, it wasn't West Palm Beach. It was when they were in San Antonio. So in Indiana, San Antonio, West Palm Beach, and then San Antonio again, because they had a 2-year contract with them. The first year that they were in San Antonio, they DQ'd like 40 tinters because they didn't show up on time for the meeting, and they closed the doors and they DQ'd them all. And it was a huge uproar. But rules are rules, right? So the people that were in the room, they're like, hey, they're DQ'd. It is what it is. And the guys outside the room are all on Facebook like, this is garbage. And so they ended up letting them compete, but they weren't allowed to place. So it's just like, well, what's the point then? So it's like, but yeah, just don't miss the meeting. Show up there a day early. It's like rules for a cruise. You don't show up the same day same day you go on. And when you pull your number, whether you're going to be first heat, second heat, third heat, fourth heat, just be prepared to go right then and there. Last year they had the meeting the day before the competition, but the year prior they had the meeting right before. Like the first heat was like 12 o'clock. They had the meeting at like 10. So after the first meeting was over, and I happened to have pulled the first heat, like I had my tools ready, but a lot of guys had to go scrambling afterwards. So I think they fixed that. Just be prepared. And then once you compete, I would say make sure to either have someone there to hand you your bag, because you can't be on the floor, and it takes them about 2 hours before the judges are done judging, and you can't be on the floor or else you can get DQ'd. So at that point is a good time to go grab some lunch, go do something, have someone that's that's still on the floor, like call you or text you and let you know, hey, they're wrapping up, or they're on the second to last car, start getting back. Because if you don't show back up to remove the film, then there's major points, or I think you get DQ'd. So yeah. But they go over all those rules too, once you get there.
So key is, do not go there with expectations to win. Go with expectations to have fun, learn as much as you can, and enjoy yourself, right?
Yeah, prepare as best as you can, but don't bank on it, because it's almost like you're almost setting yourself up for failure. It's like saying, hey, I want to make $1 million this year doing mobile tinting. I want to make $1 million. And then when you don't make $1 million, what are you? You're upset. You're like, right. like I'm just going to do my best, and what will come will come. And it's not just about the competitions. It's the after parties. It's all the guys that go online. I mean, and you don't have to go out drinking. You don't have. It's just people are out going out having a good time and cutting loose, having dinners and
riding scooters.
Yeah, riding scooters. Hopefully you don't break a jaw or break a leg or break a collarbone, which all happened in San Antonio.
Oh my gosh. I remember getting in the elevator with somebody, their arm was in a sling, and I said like, what happened, scooter? And he goes, yeah. And I was like, wait, what?
Did it glasses?
I don't remember what his face looked like, but I just remember, you get in an elevator, I don't really talk to people. You just like, but I was just like, I had seen everybody on the scooters, and I was like, scooter? And he was like, yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, sorry, bro.
The only reason why I asked is the only person I know that was in the sling is because they broke their collarbone. It was Jody Knight, and he was one of the main judges. Yeah, one of the finalists broke his jaw, and he had gauze and this whole thing wrapped up, and he was in the finals like this, like not talking because his jaw was wired shut. And then some other, I don't know who the third guy was, but there was rumor that someone broke their leg.
That's badass. If you can still compete with like a broken jaw and win, that's like some UFC stuff right there.
He should have just had it. They should have just given it to him. I would have forfeited right then and there. Like, done. I'm done. You give it to him. Forget about it.
That's awesome. So, jumping into the comments, thanks to everybody who's watching. We've had, about 40, 50 people watching this whole time. So we got a lot of comments that said they love their DSP. So that's pretty freaking cool. Like a lot of people said that.
Good. I'm glad. Thank you.
Rhett, Liz, Jessica all said, networking is key. Definitely agree. Yeah, I met you for the first time at the Tint Off. I mean, we talked a little bit before online, a very little bit before, but you went from somebody that I've watched for years on YouTube, and you were one of the tint celebrities. And then, meeting you in person, hanging out, going to dinner, and now it's just like, like family. So I think that's more value than winning a Tint Off. Oh,
absolutely. It's crazy where the world takes you, who you meet and what you do. It's like the world will throw you for a loop. It's fun. I'm surprised that there's that. I mean, I'm happy there's that many people watching that. Usually, because I don't have any of the comments or anything up because I don't want to distract myself. So and right now it just looks like it's just me and you having a conversation.
Yep. And Chris Queen just said DSP is the best, period. I mean, it is the best. It's that or toxic dryer sheets. I mean, that should be a no-brainer, right?
Well, that too, and it kind of worked out. It was almost the perfect product, really, to be honest, because let's say I wanted to produce a hard card. Now I have to compete with Jay, right? Or let's say I wanted to produce a squeegee. Now I got to compete with Fusion. Or let me say I want to produce an absorbent cloth material. Now I got to compete with Soak Shield. Not only are people going to hate me because they're already devoted, loyal followers to what they like and do, right? But with DSP, there's no major competition. I'm not taking money from anyone, right? So no one's like, I hate you and I love Jordan from Fusion, or I love Jay from Tri-Edge and I'm not going to use you because of that. Like, there's none of that. It's just, you're already spending it. You're gonna spend the same money. You might as well be a little bit healthy. And I know tinters that are buying it just because, number one, it's healthy, and number two, they're like, I like to support people in the industry. You know, it's the reason why I always talk about Jay from Tri-Edge, or I always talk about Eric from Tint Wiz, or why I always talk about Jordan from Fusion, is because not only do they provide a service or a product for the industry, but they are involved in the industry. They're not just hopping in, you know, scooping up as much money as they can and be like, deuces, I'm out, guys, thanks. Like, that's, you know, so I love them for that. But thank you. I'm glad everyone's enjoying DSP. That's a good thing for me. That's a plus for me.
Jay from Tri-Edge is somebody I bring up a lot. I also met him for the first time at the Window Film Convention. I think I was speaking to you when he came up. I think that's how I actually met him, was through you. And, you know, one of the missions that Tint Wiz has that you just touched on was, you know, we did like the Tri-Edge cards, the purple Tri-Edge cards, and we constantly get messages, people posting, where can I buy them? So we never sold them, and we never will sell them, because it goes against one of the principles that we've set in place, which is we don't want to compete with existing businesses. We want to try and bring those to light. We want to help tinters, you know, get to experience those products, but there's no reason to compete. So like you said, if there's a great product out there like a Soak Shield, why would I go make my own towel? No, I want to help get Soak Shields into people's hands. And I think that sort of working together is, you know, I think that's the best way. We don't need to compete with each other. We can all work together and bring the best stuff to light.
Yeah, here's the thing with Tint Wiz is that it's you guys are a different mold. And Matt and I have talked for hours and hours and hours on this conversation that it's hard for people to work with creators, content creators, online influencers, or outside the norm of what you would normally, you know, what you traditionally do. A lot of like manufacturers don't work with us. You know, it's like Matt and me combined we can reach 75,000, 100,000 window tinters. We're not talking people, and then maybe 10% of those people are window tinters. That's a very specific and hardcore niche. Like, why wouldn't you? If I was a business and I was running them, I would throw so much money at them just so that they could, because they're exactly hitting the target audience that I want. It's not like I'm a detailer that kind of knows how to tint. Like, it's all window tinters or nothing, you know. So, and what Tint Wiz does is, you are working with different influencers. You know, you sponsored the Tint Off last year with the giveaway. One of the Facebook group meetups was one of the most successful things what we've done thus far. You know, we did that was the second or third year, and we did tank giveaway. We went from 1 tank to 5 tanks. We had, like I said, I've told this story before, we were doing Soak Shields, we were doing DSP giveaways, we were doing so many. And the Facebook group, there were so many people at the Facebook group, there were 75 people sitting around. I lost my voice 2 days later because I'm screaming so that 75 people can hear me. The event, the Window Film Magazine runs the Tint Off, and they have a film crew that runs around and films so that they can have content to provide for their clients and whatnot. And they were close by shooting content at one of the booths, and they had to stop shooting production because our group was so loud it was cutting off and coming and bleeding into their audio. So they're like, oh, we have to stop and just, I mean, it was just a really fun and exciting experience. And I think companies like Tint Wiz are paving the way and showing people or companies that there's a way to be able to connect with the community and be able to expand your growth and your reach. Everyone's talking about Tint Wiz, and everyone's like, how is everyone talking about Tint Wiz? It's because they're working with people. They're in the trenches. They're not some suit up somewhere, saying that they're doing advertising for people, or saying that they're selling film to the best tint shops in the world and only them. It's like you're a different form, and I really appreciate that. Not just because the opportunity to be able to work with you opens up more doors in the future for me to be able to work with other companies and do other collaborations. And again, at the end of the day, it's so that everyone can be uplifted and improved. So thanks to you guys.
I appreciate you saying that. I appreciate the opportunity. I definitely agree where you said, there's so much red tape, and you approach a film manufacturer and oftentimes they don't see the value, and that's the part of our mission is, hey, we can have a good time, we can build awareness for Tint Wiz, but we can also change the way other people in the industry, other companies in the industry market. So if we're giving away free stuff to tinters, that helps us because, hey, we're getting awareness, and that helps the tinters because they're getting their hands on good tools or giveaways or whatever it is. Well, what's going to happen in the future? Window film companies and other people, they're going to go, that's what we have to do now. They just did that. We have to up it. And as people up that level of quality, who wins? The whole community. It's something we preach for businesses to treat their customers that way. Hey, go up and beyond. Try to think of things. Don't just say, hey, we're going to offer, a sofa and water or coffee. Like, say, hey, how can we even get beyond that? I mean, not that that's still, you're doing more than a lot of other shops, but keep thinking, keep going. Well, how can we go beyond that? Because when you go really beyond outside the box, the customer, everybody wins. You're going to win. The customers are going to be happy. And then at the end of the day, you're leading the way to what the benchmark is. I think Amazon's a good example of that. If anybody remembers shopping online like 5 or 6 years ago, I mean, even 10 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever it is, it was normal. You get your stuff 7 to 10 days. Now it's like, where is it? It needs to be here in a day. I need it in 2 days. Like 1 to 2 days is it. Like if you sell something online and you don't have it in 2 or 3 days, you're like emailing, like, where is it? Well, that's because Amazon said, hey, we're going to get this to them so fast that becomes the new norm. And then when they're offering free shipping with Prime, all right, so I guess if you're going to compete and you want to sell something on your website, it's like, maybe I have to do free shipping. And that changed the way Walmart did business. And, it changes the industry. And I think we have the opportunity to do that in window film because it's such a fragmented industry. It's still in its infancy. It's mainly mom and pop, and you're not dealing with so much red tape and lawyers and corporations as it is in other industries. So
yeah, you bring a certain amount of excitement. Companies will, like when I worked for Citibank, every quarter they would do like a town hall. They talk about business, how things are going, and then they pump the team up and they pump everyone up. This is what we're doing. This is the exciting stuff. This is what we're going to offer if we hit goals, and then just everyone throwing in, like, we're not all one big company, but we're within one big industry. So if this team is putting in this amount and this team is putting this, like, everyone starts getting excited about the industry, and it just makes it a lot more fun. It's like, yeah.
Yep. And one more example I want to thank you for, I want to thank Matt for. I mean, I'm sure there's other people, that have done this, but you guys are two of the biggest influencers online with the biggest following. And when I decided to start doing these live streams, you were also the ones who shared every single one with your community. You didn't say, oh, who's this guy trying to go live, or who's this guy making videos now? It was like, yeah, who's this guy? Like, support him. Like, hey, let's watch this. And like, that's huge. And it defines everything. It's so important. So thank you to everybody who shares this. But I really feel a debt of gratitude to you and Matt for always being so supportive, not looking at it as me trying to compete with your videos in any sort of way. It's just videos. And anybody out there who's thinking, hey, I'd love to do an interview with somebody, or I'd love to go live or whatever, like, you should feel that same welcome, welcome into doing that. Nobody's going to judge you or put it down. So to get to it, the more the better.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like, here's the thing. I don't boost everyone, and there's a reason why, right? every it seems like everyone gets this itch to be a YouTuber and try to produce content for window tinting or detailing, stuff like that. And more power to you, right? Like what's good for Matt, Matt and I both happen to have a live stream today from the shop, and I had, I think at best like 14, 15, and we both happened to just coincidentally be live streaming at the same time, and he had like 75 congruent viewers, which to have 75 viewers on YouTube live is a lot. Massive. And people are like, why are you working with him? He's your competition. And I'm like, no, he's not. First of all, he's not. What's good for him is good for me. The sooner Matt can get to 1 million subs, the amount of people that are consuming his content will also consume my content. What's good for him is good for me, and that's why I would share stuff that you have, is because you're not a fly by night. You're not coming in there doing one video, and like I've done that before in the past, and not that I got burned, but like I would support someone and I'm like, oh yeah, watch this guy's videos, you guys are doing great, and all of a sudden like I have to vet certain people, right? Maybe they make one good quality video, but then like they lose their mind and they're like talking garbage about this or talking this about that, and it's like you have to, when you're in the public eye, you have to conduct yourself accordingly. And the people that I support and the people that I like, I share your videos and I share other people's videos, because those are the people that I've somewhat pre-screened and vetted, so I know that they're committed to what they're doing, and that I know that they have a good heart, and that they have the same values that I do. You know, it's the reason why hell I talked to Matt for 4 hours before him and I live streamed, and we just sit and talk YouTube strategy and video strategy. You know, him and I have been collabing about how to penetrate Facebook more, and it's not about how can we make more money, it's about how can we reach more people. You know, when you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life, you know, and when you fall into that stride, it's the success will come. It's not a matter of if, but when it will. Yeah. And that's the beautiful thing. That's why, you know, that's why me and Matt and I share your stuff, and we share other people, and we support other people, because we all have a common goal to just kick ass and do better.
And anybody wondering, if you're not sure who Matt is, Matt Tint Stuff, YouTube, Facebook group as well. And then I do want to let you go because I know you're about to go live. Are you going live on your YouTube channel, Facebook, or both?
Last week I went live on the Facebook channel, but my software, it was Facebook will only allow me to push at 720. There's a better quality on YouTube. I can push it all the way to 1080 at 60 frames. Matt is doing something called restreaming, where he's going from his broadcasting software and streaming to multiple platforms, and that's why you can see him on Facebook and on YouTube at the same time. I'm not quite set up there, but just like that, Matt pioneered that you know, doing the restreaming, and I'm like, how did you do that? He's like, it's working great, you should do it. And I'm like, okay. So eventually I will be doing the restream, where basically I'll be streaming to both platforms. For right now, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to go back to YouTube, and I will I'll go to YouTube, and then I'll re-upload them to Facebook, so people in the group still have access to those live streams. But that's the plan for right now, until I do the restream and go on both platforms. So
cool. So 37 minutes from now, you'll be live on your YouTube channel. So anybody who is in here now, I'll be in there watching. I watch every week, and that's where you can continue this. So I don't want to take up any more of your time. I appreciate you doing this. One more comment. Ed Munt said, "Thanks for DSP. It has changed my business so much. Hats off to you for your product."
Oh, Ed Muntz, thank you very much. Appreciate that. And Eric, thank you very much for the opportunity to bring me on here and doing this interview. This is the first live interview I've ever had. Just to let you know, like I did a magazine spread once, you know, a few years back, but that was on the phone with an editor or whatnot. But yeah, this was a blast. I had a really good time. Thank you very much. For those of you guys that want to watch, again, it was Window Tinting Business, but the YouTube channel now is Patrick Latman. You guys can type that in. I do live streams every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's like the tint prime time lineup, right? It's Tint Wiz at 7, and then Patrick at 9, but yeah, you can go ahead and join us on there. Check out Matt as well. His live streams are off the chain as well. They are. You know, we're all just doing real good stuff, man. We're just trying to stay positive and do good.
I love it, man. Thank you so much. Thank you for everybody who joined watching live or watching it after, if you're watching it after, but especially those of you who watch it live. We'll be back on Thursday, same time, same place, and we'll also have a Patrick on there, but this time it'll be Patrick Fransco from iMagnet Management and Window Film Pros. So he's coming on with a very specific intention. He doesn't want to come on and talk about his business. He doesn't necessarily want to come on and talk about the group. He wants to come on and just straight up provide as much like actionable, usable, valuable ways that people can improve their business. So he is there. He said his intention. He's not trying to promote his business. He's trying to give out free content this Thursday, answer everything and anything marketing related or any way he can help. So that's going to be a good one to watch. That'll be this Thursday. And that's it, I guess. Thank you again, Patrick.
Thank you very much, guys. Thanks for watching, guys. Eric, again, thank you for the opportunity. And yeah, it's been a really good time. I'll
see you on your channel in 34 minutes on YouTube.
Ooh, 34 minutes. That's right. Thanks again.
All right. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks again for joining. We'll see you on Thursday.